Web 3.0 holds the potential to completely revolutionize every single aspect of our digital lives because blockchain technology proposes a complete paradigm shift for how the internet works in the first place. So one aspect in particular that Web 3.0 can really change the internet is how we manage digital identity. In this video, I'll talk about 5 ways that digital identity is the future for Web 3.0. I'm going to talk about that as a blockchain developer who works with this technology on a daily basis. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about how decentralized identity can be the future of Web 3.0. So let's set the stage for this in the first place and talk about, sort of a paradigm shift from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. So, Web 2.0 right now is pretty much the internet that most people use, where their identity is basically managed by an email address. And then, that email address is connected to a bunch of different websites with passwords, and maybe, you are proving your identity information to those websites whenever you sign up for them, but it's stored across the entire web in multiple different places. So Web 3.0 really changes this, where, you essentially are linking your identity to a key pair of a public key and a private key with a blockchain wallet, and how that can completely change how this whole system works. And so let's look at 5 different ways this can be a game changer. So way number 1 is that, essentially you get this universal identity that is, ubiquitous across the entire web, okay? So instead of going to a website I was talking about where you give over a username and password and do that every single time, once you set up your identity, it carries with you from website to website, okay? So let's say that you went to a site, you could essentially have a login. You might have seen this login with Facebook, for example, and you go click on that login with Facebook button. That logs you in, and Facebook at that point is managing your identity. But with blockchain, you can manage it yourself with your private key, and then you can log into any website that you want to with a simple click of a button, assuming we're talking about a hybrid website in this case. And this has a lot of implications for things like, social networks, for example. So if you have blockchain-based social networks and you had connections with other, users on those social networks, then your entire social graph could transfer from website to website, and your identity could move with you without having to build your entire social network from scratch every single time. All right, so way number 2 that decentralized identity can be a big game changer for Web 3.0 is actually ownership over your own data. Okay, so let me say what I mean by this. So basically, right now, if you're using the blockchain, let's say you're trading some NFTs or you're swapping tokens on a decentralized exchange, you have an address that essentially is kind of like your identity. It's like a pseudonym online. Okay, maybe you have an E and an S name that shows what your handle is, but essentially you just have this really crude identity. But all the data about you is really just your transactions that you perform on chain. And a lot of people say, hey, that's not really great. How is that ownership of your own data if all your data is out there public on a blockchain? Well, actually setting up an identity on the blockchain that's associated with your private key still opens the doors to essentially retaining information and controlling your own data. Let me talk about this because we're really just scratching the surface potential of this. So, you could have something like a digital device or a personal device where you control data on that device itself, where it never leaves the device and isn't stored on somebody's server and it's not stored on chain. But the actual private key associated with your address can create digital signatures that can consent to give information over and prove that that information came from you. And so you could have situations where you have sort of like a third-party identity issuer who helps set up the device with the private key, where the private key never leaves the device. They authorize that the data is correct. And then you could have a digital identity that's set up on a mobile device where you can sign transactions and then control that data yourself, where it doesn't live on somebody's central server and it doesn't live on the blockchain. And we're just scratching the surface for that type of thing now, but that is what's possible in the future. And that's what it could look like to own your own data rather than just give everything over to, a social network or something like that. All right, another way that decentralized identity can be a game changer, and I think this is point 3 if my memory serves me correctly in my list here, is the ability to consent what type of data that you provide without necessarily revealing the data or the information itself. And this is made possible by zero-knowledge proofs. And I think these are a massive game changer for how we conduct ourselves online in the future. So what is that? Well, it's basically a cryptographic technique where you can prove information without revealing the information, without getting the nitty-gritty of how it works. Basically, let's put it this way. One of the classic examples for a zero-knowledge proof is if you're looking at a Where's Waldo puzzle, what I'm showing you right here, Where's Waldo? And in this case, your task is essentially to find Waldo in this picture. Well, with a zero-knowledge proof, you could actually prove that you found Waldo without revealing Waldo's location. So what would that look like? Well, here's a pretty good example. Okay, so you could basically essentially just submit a picture of Waldo without context for his surroundings to prove that you found him on that picture. It's the exact snapshot, exact cutout of Waldo, but you didn't reveal his location. You said you proved I found Waldo, but I don't show you exactly where he is. So how does this apply to digital identity? Well, that's just an example of how a zero-knowledge proof could work. So this opens the door for all types of things. So let's say that you wanted to apply for a loan. Let's say to buy a house. Okay, you wanted to get a mortgage, and one of the most common things that they want to know when they lend you money is, what is your income to debt ratio, or what is your net worth? Like all these types of things. You could prove that you satisfied those conditions for that mortgage without actually revealing what that information is. So if they say, hey, we want to see assets, worth over this much, well, you could prove that your assets were over that much without actually having to say, I have blank amount of dollars. Or if they want to see what your monthly cash flow is and what your debt is without revealing actually what your debt is or what your cash flow is. So that's a huge thing where you can retain more of your own information and then prove that you satisfy some set of conditions. Or another example is, let's say that you have to prove that you're over 21 in order to do something, whether it's, visit, a wine and spirits website online. You don't actually have to give your age. You can just prove that you're old enough in order to access that content. All right, so another way that decentralized identity can be a game changer for Web 3.0 in the future and actually really improve the internet as we know it is to prevent Sybil attacks. So what the heck does that mean? Okay. So a Sybil attack is basically an attack on a computer network in which an attacker subverts the service's reputation system by creating a large number of, pseudonymous identities and uses them to gain disproportionately large influence. Basically, the whole idea here is creating a bunch of bots that can mess with the experience of the application itself. So we've seen this come up in the news recently, where Elon Musk is talking about, wanting to buy Twitter. And one of the biggest complaints that comes back is like, hey, so much of the activity on Twitter is bots, and you can't actually trust the statistics about, who's actually using Twitter because there's so much bot activity. Okay, now I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of all that, but if you've gotten on Twitter ever, you've probably experienced the bot problem, and there's lots of at least perception that bots have a real potential sway in distorting people's view of reality. Okay, you could have a bunch of bots that put out information that can mislead people. Well, that's an example of a Sybil attack. So how can Web 3.0 identity fix this? Well, it's pretty simple. If you require that somebody has a digital identity that's actually issued by a reputable issuer, then you can prove that that person is essentially human. Assuming that you can come up with a trustworthiness standard, do that. And once that system is in place, then you could require that certain people meet those conditions in order to prove their humanity in order to actually use applications online. And what that's going to do is essentially make it harder for bots to just take over a network and game the system with a Sybil attack. Now, I know that there's still some things that have to be figured out, like could you somehow purchase somebody else's identity? There's still some nitty-gritty things that have to be figured out here, but that's still one way, and there's a ton of potential to improve this problem. All right, so the last way in which, digital identity is a huge game changer for Web 3.0 in the future is that it completely opens up the possibility for what you can do on-chain in the future with reputation, on-chain reputation. This is where you actually have to store information on a blockchain, but one popular idea that's floating around in the crypto space right now is the idea of soul-bound tokens or soul-bound NFTs. So what are these? So, NFTs essentially are non-fungible tokens where you get a token that is unique among a collection of other tokens. And, one of those popular use cases for NFTs now is collectibles, but you can transfer them. You can go take them out of your wallet. You can sell them. But the idea of a soul-bound token is a non-transferable NFT. So essentially, someone could give you an NFT that, you can't go take and sell. So what would be example use cases of this? Well, you could build an entire digital identity around a non-transferable, non-fungible token. But you could also do things like, issue university credentials to a unique identity. Okay, once you have that identity piece in place, you could do things like actually establish a reputation system for somebody, maybe like a borrowing history. Maybe you could get to the point where you could actually have a credit score tied to a user's identity on chain, okay? And once you got this piece in place, that could completely open up the possibility for what you can do with blockchain technology right now. So one example is with decentralized finance or DeFi. We have savings and lending apps for DeFi right now, but if you're going to take out a loan whenever you do DeFi, then you always have to over-collateralize that loan. What does that mean? That means that you have to take cryptocurrency and lock it into a smart contract, and then before you can borrow cryptocurrency. You might say, why would you want to take out a loan if you had money in the first place? Well, people do it for, leverage. They do it for short. There's lots of different reasons, right? But the whole idea here is what if you want to take out a loan, but you didn't have enough money? Well, there could be a way to actually establish some sort of credit score on the blockchain where you have reputation over time. Okay. And then you could have some sort of collateral that you post to the loan, but you're able to take out maybe a larger amount of money once you have this social reputation score that's tied to your on-chain identity, where it's provable based on all your activity on the blockchain in a trust minimized way that you actually have this reputation. And this really wouldn't be possible any other way without some sort of established standard for decentralized identity. All right, so this is my top 5 ways that decentralized identity can be an absolute game changer for Web 3.0. Again, this is a big paradigm shift from the Web 2.0 world that you know today, where essentially, you are basically an email address online, and that email address gets stored in a bunch of different websites, and each one of those websites controls and retains a certain amount of data about you. That data is getting bought and sold all the time, many times without your awareness, okay? And they require you to submit identity documents, all that type of stuff. It really kind of is a broken model for the end user. And there is a ton of potential for Web 3.0 to completely turn that upside down on its head, to where you can have some sort of identity where you control more of your own data. You can consent to the type of data that you provide. You could, start to satisfy conditions without completely just divulging all the information about yourself that you don't want to. And this opens up the door to so many different things you could do with blockchains themselves once we really have this identity piece solved. So I hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I should become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You get to be an expert to get started today. I thought people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.